Okay, so hi guys. So I am going to read to you. I'm a little bit coffee today, but I am going to read this article to you because it really ties into some of the things I've been talking about, and I just don't want to take too long. But first, I want to talk about a personal Mandela effect that is going on with me. So Mandela Affected, and really good channel. You should subscribe. We were talking about on his channel on the chat. We were all talking about pregnancy, gestation. It says here 9 months, right? And that's what it used to be. Back on Sagittarius, it was 9 months, but it says that here. And then up here, normal gestation period is about 40 weeks. So 37 to 42 weeks. So, and that's, even though that's a little odd, and we all noted that, and I'm not sure if this is or is not a Mandela effect, because when you look it up, you'll get these varying answers here. So, but 9 months is, I can't do math right now. Anyway, you guys do the math. So then with me, here I'll show you. This is my birthday. And this is my sister's birthday. And so the duration between us is 10 months and 18 days. Right? So 10 months exactly and 18 days. So back on Sagittarius, that was, people would not remark on that really because, because everyone thought gestation was 9 months, right? So, not that ordinary to get pregnant that early, but it could happen. So I just got curious too to look this up. So let's see, how soon can you get pregnant? Yeah. After giving birth. So this person says, 5 weeks. That's the least we have heard. So everything that I looked up, it said, 6 to 8 weeks or whatever is the earliest. Now this person said 5 weeks is the earliest they'd ever heard of. So that's the earliest that I could find, But me and my sister, if we were born together on this planet and in this place, then, we're only 18 days apart. If my mom got pregnant 18 days after I was born, and my sister went to full term. So if it was on this planet, then she would have been born at 10 months, right? So she did go to full term to her due date. And I know that my 2 boys were both born exactly at their due date, which was set at 10 months, right? It was set at 40 weeks. So if my sister and I had been born on this planet, the rarity of my mom getting pregnant 18 days after I was born, is a little odd. So this person says 5 weeks is the earliest. Well, 18 days is just a little over 2 weeks, of course. So that's half of what this person says. And then this person says it is technically possible to get pregnant as early as 30 days, right? 30 days, and it definitely can happen. This person was born 14 months apart. Okay. So there was another one. The earliest my mother, an OBGYN, has seen a baby born was 10 months apart. She delivered the other sibling as well. She's delivered many babies 10 months apart as well, more commonly 11, and on and on. So that's possible, and this woman has seen it. She says many, you know. So I'm confused, but this is the only place that I have found this where babies were born, like my sister and I, like so close to 10 months apart. So it actually even made me wonder, like, this person's mother, the OBGYN, was she from Sagittarius? So anyway, that's just, let's see. And then I Googled, that's how soon you can get pregnant after birth. Okay. So, okay. So anyway, that's just kind of an odd, like, personal Mandela effect for me. It's just odd that it seems like if me and my sister had both been born on the old Sagittarius and there you were born 9 weeks apart, it's just so close, I guess, is my point. It's so close together, so I thought I would just bring that up. Anyway, it doesn't prove anything. Again, it's so difficult to prove the Mandela effect. Just like my videos from yesterday, and once you record the video from your phone and you upload it, and the quality should not be all of that degraded. But it's just odd when I watch that video on my phone with that weird cloud, and how much more it looks like. And I watched it again, like when I'm going down the hill, there's almost like a cherubic face there. And how I watched the video, I watched them a whole bunch of times, and sometimes I really, really would see the faces, and other times I wouldn't see them at all. And sometimes I would really see the chemtrail, and other times I wouldn't. So it's really weird. Anyway, so I want to read to you from this book here. And let's see. Like I talked about yesterday, the Mysteries of the Unexplained. And this is from... And I did all this damage. A dog chewed it, but I loved this book when I was a kid. Anyway, of course, 1982. Right? And I want to read to you. I don't know if I got the page number there. Anyway. It's an article entitled Synchronicity. Let's see, I got the book right here. I'll check the page. Page 15. Okay. So, probably see this okay. The vexing thing about techniques of prediction that rely on signs of whatever kind is that no connections seem to exist between the signs and what they signify. In the disposition of planets, or the condition of a sheep's liver, in the way birds fly, or tea leaves settle in the cup, in none of these traditional modes of prediction is there a conceivable relationship with war or death, with fortune, in love or money, or with outcome of any other future event. So that's just our little predictive programming sentence there, telling us, everything happens randomly. War, love, money, it's all random. We don't know. We can't predict anything. Anything that might happen in the future, World War II or whatever, it's random. We couldn't really predict it. Yeah. So I look at these books with new eyes now, and it's proving very useful to me. But this article ties in with what things I've been talking about. So it goes on to say, such devices, however, are still considered to be useful omens. Professor C.G. Young, their appointed little representative, their propaganda guy, the Swiss psychotherapist and co-founder with Sigmund Freud of 20th century psychiatry, was persuaded that such methods of prediction do produce meaningful results. His work had brought him into repeated contact with the stranger shores of the human psyche, and he was aware that the lives of many people are punctuated by the phenomena of coincidences and fulfilled prophecies. Young became convinced that some linking process, distinct from causality but complementary to it, is at work in the universe. Now just stop right there. Now I believe that linking process, as they call it, it's God. It's God's pattern. It's the pattern that He's made for the universe. And so linked, maybe like a spider web or created like a piece of art, with little parts, but all forming a piece of a whole. Anyway, Young became convinced that some linking process, distinct from causality but complementary to it, is at work in the universe, and that its manifestation is in seeming collaboration between the human psyche and the external world. He named this principle synchronicity, and spent much of the latter part of his life trying to explain its workings. So, in doing so, he was keenly aware of the difficulty of describing a non-causal process for an audience that has been deeply conditioned by an exclusively causal view of the world. His systematic essay on the subject, entitled Synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle. Now, we were recommended to read that in high school, so I never read it, but might be some good reading to go there. Published in 1952. It was a heroic attempt to avoid giving the impression that the agents of synchronicity are causal agents. A heroic attempt, in my words, to avoid giving the impression that the agents of synchronicity is God. In Jung's view, the agents of synchronicity, or to look at it another way, we're not God, but we're part of synchronicity, and we are creative. So that's part of it, us and God. In Jung's view, the agents of synchronicity are to be found in what he called the archetypes of the human psyche. An archetype appears to the conscious mind as a special kind of symbol. It is not conceived by the conscious mind, but rises into it, fully potent, from what Jung called the collective unconscious, a repository of archetypes held in common by all mankind. Just as all humans have certain genetic features in common, so they share, Jung found a wealth of psychological material that becomes conscious only in dreams and reverie. So I talked about the archetype, one of my other videos. I was looking at, right now Capricorn is in Saturn, and I don't ascribe to astrology, but I do know that these Kabbalists and people really do. So I just got curious, and I looked up, I was looking up Capricorn in Saturn, and what I found was, for each age there is a conflict between archetype. Some are dominant and some are not. So I did talk about that. Examples of the archetypal figures that Jung found recurring in his own dreams. So he examined his own dreams to do this, and you'll see these in your dreams. You will. Also in the dreams of patients and in the folk stories and myths of age and nation. So here he tries to tie in, they always try to tie in all of the ancient mythology because It's always been a goal to make all these things tied into a one world religion. And we know that's all lies. You know, the folk stories and the myths are one thing, but the one world religion is another, you know. So the archetypes are the wise old man or woman, and that's the senex that I talked about on my other video. And I guess I'll link the other video if I remember. I'll try to remember to put it in there. The eternal mother, the magical child, that's the other archetype. So here, Capricorn and Saturn, in this age that we just entered into, you know, Capricorn and Saturn is what they're going to go by. I believe, in my opinion, we have the senex versus the magical child. So there's a word for it, and I have a pronunciation. Deely, we'll look at it. Other archetypes are the trickster, the tree, that's the tree of life, I'm assuming, and the mandala, a geographic pattern symbolizing the universe. So Jason Christopher was talking about the mandala, and I looked this up myself because I remembered a reference to Buddhist monks because they lay out a mandala on the ground with sand, and it's all colored, and it's a representation of the universe with the T-shaped entrances. It's geometric. What I remembered is that Buddhist monks would meditate on this mandala, like sit around it, and they could travel space-time. So I searched this, and I can't find a reference to that legend anywhere, and I racked my brain for a long time, and I remembered that I saw it on an episode of Ancient Aliens. And I've seen all of those, probably all the seasons, probably 3 times through. I really like, the biggest thing that I really like about that show is the location and the camera work and everything, and you can really see all of these artifacts and sites, and I just always found that was awesome. So some of the people on there, you know, I thought were kind of full of shit. Other people I don't know, you know, it's hard to tell. So anyway, and it was in an episode called Stargates, Aliens and Stargates. So I watched that through the other day. It's in season 6. And the reference to the Buddhist monks and the mandala wasn't in there. But I think it's worth mentioning because I'm really sure that it was in there, and maybe it's taken out, or I could be wrong. It could be in another episode. So I guess I'll have to watch all them through, and there's a lot of them. But if anyone finds a reference to Buddhist monks traveling through space-time using a mandala, I think that information, you know, could be really useful to us. So anyway, I'm going to just read on. So, well, I'll just summarize a little bit again. You know, your Jungian archetypes are the old man and woman, the old man or woman, you know, either one, they're the same. The eternal mother, the magical child, and the trickster, the tree, and the mandala. It says here a special kind of symbol. But it would be fair to say that pretty much, you know, things that happen will fall under these archetypes. Stories will have these archetypes as characters, etc. Dreams will have these archetypes in them, you know, like that. So anyway, we'll just read on here. Just as genes embody order, genes are orderly arrangements of DNA molecules and are themselves disposed in an orderly way in chromosomes and create orderly patterns of growth, so archetypes embody order at a psychological level, and in their presence, new order ensues. At this point, Jung's difficulty was to explain how the archetype, by virtue of its inherent order, creates order in a non-causal way. Yeah, poor Jung. Things are tough to explain when there's no God in the picture, you know. So, but there's an interesting example. A medical example may provide an approximate model of the process. Penicillin is helpful in cases of bacterial infection because penicillin molecules are a partial match for molecules in the bacterial cell wall. When a bacterium is deceived by this near match into incorporating a penicillin molecule into its cell wall, the wall is weakened at that point because of the inexact fit and ruptures, killing the bacterium. So this is what they're trying to do to the archetypes. I just had this weird idea when I read this. Like they're the bacterium, and they're trying to deceive their way into busting open these archetypes and corrupting everything, you know. So, but they idolize the youth figure archetype because they prey on children. So it's a justification. So the archetype itself isn't evil. It's not evil. It's their worship, their idol worship of it. You know. Anyway, reading on, the penicillin molecule has been instrumental in this process, but not actively so. In the presence of the penicillin molecule, the bacterium has developed a new, fatally flawed molecular pattern. Thus, the role of the penicillin is contingent, but not causal. In a similar way, an archetype serves as a psychic catalyst, in whose presence orderly psychical experiences unfold, and in a way that often entails the physical world. And so the orderliness of the physical world depends upon the archetype's wholeness. They serve, it says, as a psychic catalyst. So I'm thinking, you know, our own mental wholeness has to do with these archetypes as well. So anyway, how can this be possible? Another biological example may be helpful. It is established that some migratory birds are guided by the stars. The bird's genetic time sense and mental image of the star patterns can be considered at a psychic level. The stars themselves represent the physical level. When the two levels mesh to put the birds on their proper route at the proper time, we see evidence of the psychic. Evidence of the psychic catalyst or archetype. Okay, so I'll reread that. When the two levels mesh to put the birds on their proper route at the proper time, we see evidence of the psychic catalyst or archetype. And here too, the archetypes, the genetic inner clock and mental image, are contingent, not causal. So in a similar way, many human beings responding to the force of inherited psychological patterns find themselves in various altering relationships with the external world. So I'll read that again. So in a similar way, many human beings responding to the force of inherited psychological patterns find themselves in various altering relationships with the external world. Right? So definitely we are in an altering relationship with an external world. So then my question becomes, what's going on with the archetype? Which archetype and what's going on with it? You know, where is it going wrong? So I don't know, just some questions to ponder. And having those questions in my mind, I'll probably stumble on something. I really, really probably will, because of my finding ability. Anyway, Jung himself was well aware that his theory was a tentative first step to the understanding of something profoundly difficult to formulate. The most important question he left unanswered, the real and precise nature of the synchronistic connection between the psychic and the physical. Well, that's God, and it's God's pattern to the universe. You know, they want to tear that down, obviously, and that's what they talk about all the time. For Jung, this relationship was the psychological equivalent of the physicist's mathematical equations, and he realized that the lack of appropriate contribution from mathematical physics rendered his theory incomplete in 1982. But didn't they have CERNs there then? You know, I mean, doesn't this tie into that? I don't know. Somebody else might comment on that knows their physics. Anyway, rendered his theory incomplete as an attempt to account for the relative or partial identity of psyche and physical continuum. While the theory of synchronicity has not been proved right, it has also not been proved wrong. Well, we know that it's right, that it does exist. And it's happening so much now that it's just becoming a big part of, I know, my life, and I'm sure you guys too. So I think, you know, when you see those synchronicities, you're actually perceiving God's pattern in a way that has always been there, but that you didn't see before. And so, you know, pay attention, follow your synchronicities, follow your signs, keep an open mind, and just try to learn what you can. Work with people that you feel like you have information, or you have knowledge, or you have something that could help them. You could, you know, we can do this. We can put things together, guys. We can do this. All right. Who cares about X-Files and all these movies and their stupid, ridiculous ridicule? You know, just forget about it, guys. Just forget about it. They are trying to distract us from learning, from doing our learning, and from working together, and from having relationships. And they want to turn things negative, so don't let them. All right? So the last sentence is pretty interesting, right? And people may have genetic, that's what they said up here, inherited, archetypal, subconscious information that is related to their seemingly ability to foretell the future. Okay then. All right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now there's another one in here about, in this book about dimensions, parallel dimensions, that's even more interesting. So I'll read that other one sometime too. So then I'll just show you real quick. Here are the two archetypes. Here's how to pronounce it. I think it'll play it here.
Puer, puer,
Puer, puer,
puer, puer,
puer,
puer,
puer. Okay. Probably really bad pronunciation on my part, but all right, here's the other archetype that I talked about. Where's the pronunciation? See, now on my version of Sagittarius, it was really important, and everybody made a big effort to be able to pronounce everything correctly. So my enunciation has not ever been that great, but you know, the pronunciation was important in my reality, and we used it. All right. Yeah, I do have an accent. That's different also.
senex,
Okay.
senex,
Senex. Okay.
senex.
Senex. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to show you guys those things. And watch this chat on Migs B. Good job, guys. Really good chat. I just think there's a lot of important information here. There's a lot of information here that has related to my own life. Hey guys, yeah, I love you guys. Anyway, I love you. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye bye.